Hello and welcome to the Shifter Holiday Gift Guide for cyclists who don't consider themselves cyclists but ride their bikes everywhere because it's a practical, affordable, healthy and fun transportation option that makes our cities and our world a better place. Part 2, this is the second annual. I did a gift guide last year and it was a lot of fun and I got some good feedback, so I thought I would do it again. Hey everybody, I'm Tom and this is Shifter, a channel about urban cycling, bike commuting, and the ways we get around our cities. And if you like this video, please consider subscribing or maybe even hitting that super thanks button. Now, thanks to all of you subscribers, new and old, this channel has grown a little bit and I'm starting to get lots of offers of products to test, which is great, but by both philosophy and disposition, I'm not really a gear kind of guy. And I think urban transportation is great because of the practicality of it. I like the simplicity and the ease of just having a bike to get you anywhere in a city. And so I've tried to take that same approach into the gear that I've got today. Okay, that's enough blathering. Let's get on to the gear. So I often say one of the most important parts of practical urban cycling is the ability to carry stuff. And I've got a bunch of videos on using baskets or panniers and bags, so check those out. But one of the things that I've struggled with, and I'm sure some of you have too, is carrying a good solid U lock. Now, U locks often come with a contraption that allows you to affix the lock to your bike. It's usually a plastic holder of some kind, but I've found these holders tend to be an afterthought. They're kind of cheap, they don't hold it very well, and your lock always ends up rattling along. Here is that solution. It is a leather holster, a U lock holster from a company called Oopsmark out of Montreal. It's super simple. It's just a piece of leather. It smells amazing. It affixes to your rack or to the back of your saddle, and basically your lock just slips into it. It really is a holster. What's nice about it is that it holds it in a way that it doesn't rattle. It's a nice, tight, secure fit, and it looks really cool. I mean, nice, genuine leather. I almost feel like I need a more stylish bike to bring this holster along with it. Anyway, it's really simple. It weighs almost nothing and will carry that lock wherever you need it. Nice to go in and out. Over time, the leather's going to soften up a bit. Great gift for that U-lock lover in your life. And speaking of carrying stuff on your bike, I wasn't going to include this bag, but I put this bag on my folding bike in my video last week about my folding bike summer adventures, and I didn't say anything about it, but I got a ton of questions, so I thought, hey, why don't I make it part of my gift guide? So this is the Dayliner bag from Two Wheel Gear. Now, Two Wheel Gear was a sponsor of this channel through the summertime, so bear that in mind, but I do love all of their products. I use them every day, and this bag is really great. What I like about it is that it's versatile, so it can go on the back of your rack, but it's also a handlebar bag, and so you can put it wherever you need to. And I like that it's got this sort of roll-topped top part, which is like the kind you see on a dry bag if you're into, I don't know, kayaking or canoeing. So it can really keep the stuff inside dry. It's pretty big, 20 liters, so even my computer fits in here when I take it to work sometimes, and my lunch. So it actually is deceptively big, but it's really well made, super secure. And if you need a smaller bag and not a big pannier, which is what I usually use because I have lots of stuff to carry, this is a pretty great option. All right, next item. Look at this. Looks just like any one of those bags that you put under your seat to hold your tire levers and tube in case you get a flat, right? Oh no, it is not that. Well, it kind of is that, but it's also something a little bit more. Because once you remove this bag, you'll see it's a little bit different. This is actually from the company called Handlebar Jack. And if you remember last year, I featured Handlebar Jack. It was a nifty new product that helped you flip your bike over to do some maintenance on the road. This year they've got an upgrade, which is this bag, and if you open it up, it rolls out like an old-fashioned tool case, and inside, all the things you need. You've got space for your tire levers, an extra tube, and the handlebar jack from last year. Plus, something else that's new from them is a saddle cover, because flipping your bike over, if you've got a nice saddle or you're precious, clearly I'm not that precious about my saddle, but if I was, I could put that on there. And there you go. The jacks take the weight of your bike so it's not resting on your handlebars. The seat cover protects your saddle, and you can get at your wheels and change your flat. So a nifty little product that's been improved over last year. I'm going to mention a product I already mentioned in a video earlier this year, but I've been using them ever since and I really like them and I get so much attention and so many questions about them. I thought I'd put them in the gift guide. These are Acrlight pedals from RedShift, and they actually have lights built into them. So these LEDs come out, they can be charged, and when they're ready to go, you pop them in here. The cool thing about them is when you turn them on, they give you both front and rear lights, and it doesn't matter which way you go, they're sort of aware of the space and they will adjust accordingly. And what I found them to be great for visibility at night, because they're always moving with your pedaling, so they draw lots of attention that way. They also like shine in a unique area, and I have these little reflectors around on my spokes, and if you have reflectors on your bike, I find this lights up your reflectors as well, so it sort of like exponentially lights up your bike. Now, if you're a pedal snob, you may not love these. These pedals are a bit heavy, and I would like them to be a bit more grippy, but they do the job pedal-wise, and I feel like for the lights in them, it's worth the sacrifices you make in the quality of the pedal. So I really like these lights. And I rode by a kid the other day who shouted to his mom, "I want glow-in-the-dark pedals too." So I took that as a pretty good endorsement. Next up is another light, but this one is really different and really cool. Here in North America, most times you've got a bike light. It's an aftermarket light that you affix it to your handlebars. To charge it, you need to take it off, bring it inside, plug it in. But I always find that a bit of a pain. And for that reason, I love dynamo lights. Dynamo lights are those powered by the movement of your bike or your pedaling, and they're always on your bike. You don't have to think about it. They're just always there, and they're always ready to go. But they're pretty rare here in North America, and it's always been like a real nuisance to try to install aftermarket dynamos. But what I've got here is a new product called Reelight. It's from Denmark, and it's an aftermarket dynamo, and it literally took me 4 minutes to install. It's really cool. Basically, you install the dynamo here. You need to have aluminum rims, but it just basically attaches to this tube on your bike. And if you get it close enough to your wheel within 2 millimeters, the movement of the wheel generates power up to the cord into this light right here, which is really simple, really easy to install. It's just elastics. All you light companies, just attach things with elastics. It's so easy. And the pedaling of your bike, it makes it go. I'm actually amazed how easily it went on and how quickly I got it working. So they also come with rear lights and even basket lights that will go onto a back basket, so that's really convenient. They're not the brightest lights in the world, so keep that in mind, but they don't actually touch your wheel. Some dynamos actually have to physically touch the wheel, which you can feel when you're pedaling. This doesn't do that, it just has to come close. I don't understand it, it's magic, but it's pretty cool either way. So, interesting system, maybe a good gift for someone on your list. Okay, now I've got a few gifts related to the most infuriating part of cycling, bike theft. Actually, maybe bike theft is the second most infuriating part of cycling after politicians who say things like, "I'm an avid cyclist, but," and then they vote against bike infrastructure. Okay, that's the most infuriating. This is the second most infuriating, bike theft. And the first two things I want to show you are related to GPS tracking, because in the last year, this seems to have exploded in the cycling world. I've talked about this before, but I'm of mixed minds on GPS cycling, and there's lots of devices coming out right now that allow you to track your bike if it gets stolen. That seems great in practice, or in theory, but in practice, when you get down to it, there's lots of weird gray areas around the legality of this. However, willing to withhold my skepticism on this. And so the first product I want to talk about is related to an Apple AirTag, because everyone I know has got an Apple AirTag on their bike right now. And there are a few ways of affixing an AirTag to your bike, but this one is probably the most elegant that I've seen. It also comes from the company Oopsmark, which made that U Lock holster that I showed you earlier. This is an AirTag holder that attaches to your stem. It's a stem cap. And so I've already popped my AirTag in here. And what you do is, here, I'll show you. Once you've attached the stem cap, the special stem cap from Oopsmark, and you've popped your AirTag into your holder, you just tap it on there, and there it stays. So you've got a tracking device right here. It looks fine. Most people won't even notice it. So I've seen other products that affix AirTags under your seat or in somewhere on your frame, but this one just seems like so natural and easy. It makes a nice inconspicuous location for your AirTag. But what if inconspicuous is not what you want? What if you want conspicuous? And I've said this a few times on this channel that I think the best GPS tracker would be one that's completely visible to a thief. I think that might be a deterrent to theft. And so here's an option more along those lines. This item here is called Scout by the company Knog from Australia. And it is not carrying an AirTag, but it is a GPS tracker that uses Apple's Find My network. So basically you get the app on your phone, you sync this with your phone, attach it to your bolts here where your bottle cage could go, And it's basically an AirTag. On your phone, you can track this. What I like is this bright case. You know, you can put your bottle cage over top of this to make it a bit hidden. I don't think a thief would notice it, but I like this. It's sort of bright and yellow and sort of announces itself. So this is kind of what I like about this thing too. So those are two options for GPS tracking that are definitely worth a look. I mean, both have limitations, of course. If a thief knows what this is, they can probably knock it off with a hammer. This actually has special bolts here that don't take a regular screwdriver. You need a special tool to remove it. So that's kind of a nice thing, but I'm sure even with this other Oopsmark AirTag cap holder, if a thief knows they're there, there's a way of getting rid of them eventually, but hopefully by then you'll have tracked your bike down and you can get it back. So I'm really happy to see developments in this area, and we'll see how things develop over the next couple of years. The last two gift ideas were high-tech ways of tackling the bike theft problem. Now I've got the brute force way of tackling bike theft. So this is a new product called the X1 from Likelok. It's a U Lock. Yeah, you probably have one of these already. What's new about this is that it's sort of a new generation of U Lock. And so in the past, U Locks were pretty solid, but what's changed in the last few years isn't so much the locks, it's the thieves. Portable battery-powered angle grinders have gotten so cheap and easy and powerful that they just make really quick use of the old-fashioned U-locks. You know, there's videos all over YouTube of thieves cutting through locks in 10 seconds, 5 seconds sometimes, and so it's a problem. This Likelok version is kind of a new generation that's trying to get past that. And what's special about this one is that it's built with a new kind of material called boronium, sort of named after the founder of the company who invented it. And it's being marketed as an angle grinder killer, I guess you could say. The type of metal in here is designed to resist angle locks better than the old-fashioned kind of U-locks. And I have not taken an angle grinder to this. It hurts my soul to ruin a perfectly good lock that way. Thankfully, other people on YouTube do not have such qualms, and I've seen a few people take angle grinders to these, and from what I hear, and from what I've read, and from the research I've done, I wouldn't say it's impervious to angle grinders. You can get through it eventually, but what it does do is slow it down considerably, and usually it takes more than one angle grinder blade to get through the entire lock. So sometimes two, sometimes three blades. It'll chew up the angle grinder blade before you can get through the metal on this. And so that's a big step forward. Bike theft is a crime of opportunity, and I can't imagine a lot of thieves stopping halfway through cutting a lock, changing blades, putting a new blade on there, and keep going to cut through a lock. So this seems like a great advancement by Likelok. This is the brute force gift for the brute force person in your life. I don't know. And speaking of bike security, I also want to shout out this new lock that I've been trying out. So I'm a big fan of convenience in locks. I know everyone talks about security, and of course that's the most important, but I feel like not enough people talk about convenience, because if a lock isn't convenient to use, you're less likely to use it. What I like about this one is the convenience. So I often use a folding lock that I keep attached to my bike right here, a new lock called the Lobster Lock, and it also attaches here. But one thing that's cool about it, let me show you here, always attached. It actually is tied, it's actually screwed right into the bottle cage eyelets here, so it's always affixed to my frame. And the nice thing about it is that you can, it takes a bit of getting used to manipulate these arms, but you can actually wrap it around and lock it up like this, and it's always connected to your bike. So it's like a nice little extra bit of convenient security. When you're done, you just put it back around, and you're good to go. So interesting idea, hey? It takes a bit of getting used to maneuvering these arms in place. It's good for locking up your back wheel. If you do have eyelets on the down tube here, you can mount it here as well. It can lock up your front wheel around a rack also. But because of its unique design, if you live in a city like mine where bike racks are pretty terrible, and sometimes you find yourself locking it to a non-traditional rack, like a light post, this lock is a little bit less convenient. It doesn't have as many options of like moving it around your bike. So keep that in mind. As far as its security goes, it's a fairly new product, so I haven't seen it compared to some of the really hardy bike locks out there, so I'm not sure about the security, but it feels pretty sturdy. It's not too heavy, but it feels pretty solid. So yeah, this Lobster Lock is a pretty interesting option. So most of the items on the list so far have been pretty big ticket items, but here's a little stocking stuffer idea for you. A friend gave this to me recently, and I just love it. It's a custom-made headset cap. The nice thing about it is that every time I look down and see see it, I think of the person who gave it to me. So that's a nice quality in a gift. This one says, I love bike lanes, but they are custom made. So you could give it, you could have it say anything you want. So if you've got somebody in your life who likes something as much as I like bike lanes, I don't know, cats, nachos, Jesus, you could print whatever you want on this headset cap and have it sent to them. This comes from a company online called Capz, and there's a couple others out there that make it, so it's just a really cool idea. Okay, that's it. That is the Shifter Holiday Gift Guide 2022. So I hope that was helpful. I hope there's a few things on there for the urban cyclist in your life. If you have suggestions, please leave them down below. I know last year there was some great suggestions in the comments from other people. There are definitely other gift ideas that I haven't thought of, so please share, and thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.